Yo, we're here with my boy Kevin. Kevin, what's the name of the YouTube channel?
The Happy Pill Project.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
Like and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Yo, be like me, man, Kev. Like, share, subscribe.
On it. So let's just talk about this for 1 second. You know, the mechanics of it, there's some people that are not hyper-focused on laying their body line, like as a blocker here. You better. Because if you don't think it's important, you're never going to finish on a high-level player. They're going to underscoop this on your belly, and now they're going to turn into you. And then you're just going to be off. They're going to release this top artery on you. And then you're going to be sitting in this weird position like this. You're going to come like this, and you brought yourself all the way up, right? You're like that. You just slid this in. And now I see people doing this. They're coming here, and now the guy turns, and now you're like this. And now as you turn out, what is happening here? Like you're going to think you're not going to choke him. He just released his top artery because he turned into you. And then I was telling you about this top artery on the other side. So last thing I want him to do, you're okay. I mean, I'm not going to knock it because, all right, you know what? You couldn't stop his turn. For whatever reason, he's 6'4", and his line, when he throws this thing, his hand is literally coming out the other side. It's going to turn on me. It shouldn't have, whatever it is, okay? And I'm not in the worst position. I'm like this. I just went this way with it. He laced it, right? And now I dismount, and he's like this. And I mean, over here, it's not the end of the world. Like, as long as my position on this was all right, and now that's an issue with some people, is that this back leg, I'm telling you to keep it here because I don't want him laying next to me. If he lays next to me, then you tell me how this back leg, this should have been angled at that artery, because my goal is to push my body up into that artery like an arrow shooting up in this artery. But now you're laying next to him. So now when I go push with this back leg, we're going like that. When I wanted to push the skin this way. So you lost some horsepower. I don't care what it was. But then now this kneecap is down here. So on some people, you're like this, and they're laying like this, and now put this leg up higher, this guy. And yeah, and I'm like this. And now he turned into me. And now when you go separate, this leg's already here to go like this. And now it says BJJ 101, knee elbow escape. Oh boy, that sucked. So you were just mounted. He went on your belly line, turned the right way, but you were off down here. So when you dislodged up here already. And if you sit and watch today, the people that are just learning to move, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. So this leg had to be here, especially if he's got the hand through. It's not like you couldn't feel it. I mean, it's impossible not to know that that hand's not there. Next thing is, I also want this leg here for a reason. I just told you about that. I also, you know, at this point, it's like, you know, I didn't want that to happen. But if it does happen, earlier when you dislodge, this is just a storyline for you to think of. I'm like this, and now I didn't have this position, and he turned into me. And now he brings that leg line in. You know where we're going with this. Like, you're coming right back onto this. So that's where you should have went. So I would have loved to keep this knee line in here. Number two is, I don't want that recovery, because that was one of the recoveries I wanted to show. So this kneecap is why I'm telling you to make this barrier here. So and that's why I'm so critical about this, is like, I'm here and I made this wedge. Like, I don't want you turning into me. I want to make this like tight, that we're sitting like this, because the last thing, this becomes a race can I take this leg and throw this over to this side and dislodge you that I'm like this so that you can't turn into me until I put you to sleep. But if I don't make this and I don't lay properly, I mean, you're not even remotely going to finish anybody, because the moment they put their hand on the belly line and then they turn into you, and now you're like this. Now this becomes, were you right here? Or were you here? Or were you this tweener of not knowing where you are in the game and how the game's going to play out in a bigger picture? So I would have loved to have played this angle here, because then at least if I lose him and he turned in, the moment I come up, I still can come back to a Darce. I can drive my line back this way. I can start coming up. I can start playing the game a lot of different ways. I can spin around to the other side. A lot of games, you know, depending on how he moves at this point, because I'm going to say that this isn't a beginner and that he's going to move. What he does, I don't know. Does he take his far side leg and throw it over the top? Does he try to force the issue with this angle? Does he try to shrimp away? I don't know. I have no idea. Does he fight the turtle and look the shoulder roll? Don't know. I got to understand the read right after that. So I'm going to ask you to do it again, right? But I'm also going to ask the person on the bottom, after the person on the top does 1-1, you go 1 turn. So you should have been here, right? Because you don't know if you're going to turn away. So it's not realistic for you to start turning away. And do you want to turn away right now? You're going to turn away. And this is the one we did the other day. We started coming behind him, right? So you're not going to turn away yet. There's no reason to. I'm right behind you with both hooks here. This is different than if I dismounted and you turned away at this point. Now, since I don't have that hook in, which I would have loved to have had, because I showed you the other day that how I could kick the bottom leg out from an angle if I switch it this way. So I want to be able to understand how the story might play out. This is different, okay? So on the first one, I'm going to ask you to lace through. On the second one, I'm going to ask you, because what's going to happen is I'm going to see this. I'm going to see people bringing their hips up in the air like this, and now he turns away, but I'm going to ask him not to turn away. I'm going to ask him to swivel his hips this way and do his best to bring his leg up to him and catch his leg with both hands. And now what he's going to do is he's going to try, because if I've done the right thing in the beginning, I told you to be hyper focused on this artery. So I'm sitting on the far side artery. So no matter what you do, if I've done the move right from the beginning, I was very aware where you were sitting on this bicep. But now I've come to this side to start driving to finish you. But now you swivel your hips to catch your leg because you want to open up this artery. And now I got to transfer again, because at this point, I'm not going to finish you at this point. There is a finish, but I'm not a believer in it. Is that you will finish it and you have to be bigger and stronger. A person like Vladi would finish it, but then a person like Ani might not, because we're not as strong. And then your whole goal at this point is to retract your hand this way. And now I'm going to sit on this artery and start driving this in like this to capture you. Yeah, but I don't control your hips. So you're going to tell me that a high-level player is not going to swivel and swing these hips in pendulum manner, and they call them figure-eighting them, that they're figure-eighting them like this, so they start moving and dislodge. I'm not going to hold those arteries like that. So it's impossible for me to think that at this angle I'm going to hold. Somebody like Vladi will do it to somebody maybe like Ani, but vice versa. It's like, I don't want him doing it. It's just not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do 2 recoveries at this point. One where you lace the belly line this way and turn in, and then one where you reached up, and the guy he's going to have an opportunity to do his move. He's like this. You reach up, you start pulling down, right? And there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm going to ask him to recover, but then I'm going to ask you to transfer, and this is how we'll end the round. So he just pulled down, but he has this arm here, right? So instead of me worrying, you could play this either way. I can slide up and then take his back. I can also attack the arm. So it depends what game you're playing. If you're playing IBJJ, you might want the points. You might want to try to catch up, and you might not be very good at arm bars. That you go, hey, let me take this position behind him instead. But because he has his arm here, we don't need anything. We can just base our hands and swivel the other way, and now capture the top hand. And now we're back onto these Kimuras. So I was able to play the game. He countered. He should have countered again. The moment I release that grip, I'm not going to, if I start playing the storyline, people are going to start trying to do the storyline. But he should have countered again on my swivel. He had his opportunity to counter. I'm not going to go through that counter again, but this is how the game starts to play in a real chess match. I made a move, you made a move. I made a move, you made a move. He knows my moves. We're seeing who can read and react faster. There's no secrets here. We've been playing the game 20 plus years. I know everything that you know, and we both know. There's enough internet and YouTube and all that stuff to go around. So that's how we want to play the game, is that we start learning how to read and react. So I'm going to ask you to do both, okay? We just went through a whole process of how you're mounting this mount. I'm going to ask the top player, do crappy, right? Good portion of people are. That's the truth. 99.9, I want to say 90%, 9 out of 10 will have some form of, they just didn't learn it correctly, and there'll be an opening. So I'm going to wedge one, turn in. On the second one, right, make sure you're hyper aware of this knee, right? I told you where you're going to be. So I wanted it higher than the other knee, but be careful, because when you dislodge, he could attack that leg. So be hyper aware of where your leg is sitting on the bottom line. On the second one, when he drives, I'm going to ask you to swivel your hips and just turn at a little angle. I want to release the top artery. If I've done everything right from the very beginning, I own the other artery, so the top artery is the only one that you can release. So you're going to reach your leg up. You're going to swivel this leg up. You're going to reach, and you're going to bring your hands. He's like this on a telephone. This leg's got to come high because I'm not going to have much distance. Once I grab my hands, I start pulling down. He should have, at this point, released me and gone to his secondary move. Should have been either my back take or this top arm. Don't know how he's going to play it out. He might look to mount me again, but that shouldn't have been something that he did because on the mount, he didn't have this pocket to step in. So that would be kind of dumb for you to do that if you do it. Let's part up. Let's try it. I see these gaps here. There should be no gaps. Like your blades, whether they be butterflied this way, right, or I turn them this way, no matter what, these are wedges behind here. Like there should be no gapping. So I see people with this like 4 inches, 8 inches, like you're gonna be late on stuff. So like I want to be able to knee pinch him, be able to spin, and then later on, like if I miss something and he goes to turn, I should have been here anyway, driving this kneecap perfect. He wants to, at this point, retract this elbow and bring it out to this point. So I should have been driving this kneecap tight in there because I don't want this elbow to explode out. I also want to see what my opportunity is right here before I go transferring to that quadrant down here, right? So I was here like this hanging off and my knee line's wedged in here because as he comes up, I may come back in here and then flip these hips back this way to drop on this quadrant. So I don't even know, but the main thing is that whether you decide to windshield this way, there should be no gapping here. I don't even want to see like an inch. Like perfection is what your goal is, and your partner's not even putting up a fight. So why are there gapping now? Like you're gonna tell me going live, you're gonna close that gap? No, you're not. And then these kneecaps are gonna be like out here, and you're flipping this. This thing is massive down here, massive. And then as you go transfer, because this gap was so big here, he takes this leg out, bases it, and flips his hips violently and drops the elbow on me. Yeah, I know, but dude, you were off in the beginning. You were off on the beginning. So if I played the story later on you, you're going to lose that anyway. Because there was